In this video, I will be sharing with you the best stablecoin yield farms for the month of May. If you are new to this series, I do this on a monthly basis, and every yield farm or vault I share in this video will have a higher yield than what's currently available on Anchor. So if that's something you want to stay updated on, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna start off with Liquid Driver on Fantom. There is a DEI USDC liquidity pool farm here earning 43% APR. The rewards are paid out in LQDR token and DEUS token, and 0.32% comes from the trading fees. This is a SpiritSwap liquidity pool, meaning that you will have to go to SpiritSwap first and provide liquidity to this pool here first. Go to liquidity, then add liquidity, pick DEI, then pick USDC, and here's where you provide liquidity. So as you can see, both of these are stablecoins. I'm sure you knew that about USDC. DEI is more or less known, but this is where you provide liquidity. After you got the liquidity pool token from SpiritSwap, you will have to go to Liquid Driver and deposit it here. Now, one thing to keep in mind about this farm is that the rewards will not be compounded automatically for you. That means that occasionally, whether it be every day or every week or every month, you will have to come here and collect your LQDR and DEUS rewards and then sell them off or do whatever you want with them. You can hold them as well. But if you want to increase that APR and turn it into APY, you would have to sell them off, get more USDC and DEI, and then deposit that into the liquidity pool again. This is some manual work you will have to do, but I think it's worth it considering that this APR is pretty high. Alternatively, if you don't want to do all this work on Liquid Driver, you could come to Beefy Finance, which auto-compounds the rewards for you. The liquidity pair that we saw on Liquid Driver from SpiritSwap is not present here on Beefy Finance. However, there is two alternatives for the same liquidity pair of DEI and USDC, but for different platforms. As you can see, I'm personally participating in both of them. The first one is DEI USDC pair for Beethoven, yielding 55% APY, and the second one is DEI USDC pair for spookyswap, currently yielding 28% APY. The reason why I split my funds between both of these vaults instead of putting it all in the one that yields the most is because the yield always fluctuates. Today, the Beethoven vault is the one that yields more, but tomorrow that could change and spookyswap could be the one that yields more. So I just put my money into both, and that earns me almost $20 a day on $21,000 in deposits. And on top of that, that actually adds an extra layer of safety for my funds because in case Beethoven or spookyswap gets exploited, I won't lose all my money in one go. And the chance of both of these platforms getting exploited at the same time is very unlikely. And last but not least, we've got Kinetic Money on Terra. This is a pretty unique lending platform that has its own quirks, but I'm not going to go into detail of how it works because this is out of the scope of this video. We're here for the stablecoin yield, and that's what I'm going to show you. So when you borrow on this platform, you receive kUST, which is a token that acts like a ticket for the UST that's been deposited into this protocol, which means that each kUST is backed by at least one UST at all times. But you can't do much with kUST yet. So if you were to borrow it, you would have to exchange it into something more liquid, like UST. So this protocol set up a kUST-UST liquidity pool on Astroport that currently yields 32.6% APY. So to earn this yield, you will first have to go to Astroport and deposit your liquidity to this UST kUST pool. As you can see, the current exchange rate is 1 kUST for every 0.95 UST, which means that there is more kUST in this pool than UST. So there is a chance of experiencing some impermanent loss if you were to participate in this liquidity pool, since there is an inflow of kUST and outflow of UST at all times. However, there is a solution for this. This is kind of like an escape hatch for liquidity providers, and that is Phaser. So if kUST completely loses its peg to UST in the liquidity pool, for example, let's say 1 UST is worth 1.4 kUST, there is an arbitrage opportunity through Phaser. In Phaser, each kUST can be redeemed for 1 USD. However, that does take 60 days, so it's not something that you could just do on a whim. You will have to lock up your funds for 60 days to get that USD, but it could be worth it if the peg is completely lost. As you can see, there is $22.6 million in USD currently in Phaser, and 6.6 million of kUST just pending waiting to be redeemed for USD. You can actually arbitrage it now since every USD is worth 1.04 kUST, which means that on every 1 USD you will get an extra 4 cents if you were to put it into Phaser and wait out for 60 days. Now, I don't think it's worth it because 60 days is a long time, but if the peg does get lost and if you do provide liquidity here, you will have a lot of kUST and you would be able to redeem it. Now, I do think that this is on the riskier side for yield farming for stablecoins. However, I still think this is a pretty cool opportunity because you are earning 32% APY in kNTC token, and on top of that, there is an arbitrage opportunity that you can take advantage of at any time.